wasn't working.
Okay, all right. Just so everybody knows that. Okay, today is the ad hoc task force on per diems, 12 o'clock, Monday, June the 12th. We'll be here to just finish this meeting up and schedule another one at the end. So anyway, call to order on that. See, I wanted to do something here. I'm going to read my notes on that. Before we approve the agenda, I would like to add an item in the agenda. I don't know if I can do that. Can I add another? Mary?
No,
I cannot add another one. We haven't approved it yet.
but it's already been published, right?
Yes.
So you cannot add.
Okay,
to it.
never mind. Never mind.
Scratch, erase
Scratch
that.
that. Scratch all those notes out. Okay. All right, approve the agenda.
Move to approve the agenda.
Thank you.
Good.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Steve will not be here. He's excused. Be here today. Public comments within the jurisdiction for the task force. Anybody have anything?
This is not where communications sharing.
Okay,
Julie, you said there was one person online?
consideration of minutes for the May 31st, 2023.
Second.
Favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Flying through this. Communication shared by the per diem task force members.
I have no, I have no, I'm looking at you because you raised your hand.
Oh, I did get something back from the president. You know, we were talking about bringing forward stuff that we found out about other municipalities
Yes.
and so forth. Dean Cocker used to be the mayor of Neenah. He did confirm with the president of the board, common council. Their average salary is about 5,500 and their council president is 6,000 a year.
5,500.
And 6,000 and 3,500 for school board members on the Neenah Joint School District. Anybody else have any more?
I have something.
I'm sorry, what was the?
3,500 for Neenah school board
Okay.
people and $50 extra a month for someone who is on, who's a chair.
Anything else? Yes.
I checked with my 3 townships, and I just asked for the chairman's salary. Black Wolf is, chairman receives $10,500 roughly a year, and then $50 per meeting outside of their monthly
Okay.
meeting. Second one was Utica. The chairman there receives $7,000 per year.
Okay.
And the third one would be Nakai, my chairman, and that is $10,000 a year.
Okay. Anybody else? I encourage you to look around. I mean, most of us are very tightly. I looked at the map and put dots on the map. We're all very tightly together here. So there's some other outliers that we might want to jump on. Because we'll probably have questions from that coming from the supervisor of that district. Okay. One of the
Jim,
things.
If there are outliers that none of us are anywhere near, but they're still in our county, and you want to assign a couple of us to make calls to those, we can do that. What in particular are you thinking of?
I drew up a map, but I didn't make copies of it. I'll just pass this around here. The red dots are where we're located. And the little post-it note of the yellow communities that I did not know. Somebody trying to get copies for it.
So we asked them also if they pay their community members to be sitting on.
I think it's universal.
Yeah. For universal for what?
It's zero. It's a zero number. It's communities.
Well, yeah, that get paid.
One of the things that the group was in here for 3 hours. That came out of that, and Mary Ann into this discussion too. Last 2 weeks ago, we put out a resolution on that. I noticed a couple errors in it afterwards, after the fact. Mary Ann found some I don't know, inconsistencies with. You want to?
Sure, I will, yeah, there was, and again, I just got out of a 3-hour meeting, so I was hoping I would have time to look at this. So the bottom line is, the task force was charged with making recommendations to judiciary, and that's what you're doing. And per the county board rules, the only people who can bring resolutions forth are individual members, or actually, as it says, shall have attached to it the name of the committee, commissioner, board, and or the name of the supervisor introducing it. So the draft resolution that you folks were looking at is basic, should actually be, I believe, in a report format. You can certainly use all of the information and basically, if the Judiciary Committee so chooses, they can rely on that. But I think what we can do is look at the work that you've done regarding the draft resolution, regarding what we started with this draft ordinance, and put it in the format of a report. So the committee looks and starts putting it together, basically. Now, Tori was able to help me and made some changes to the proposed resolution regarding the rules. But, and I know you just said, Jim, that you found some issues. This is just, and this is a draft, mind you, of some of the suggested changes involving the rules. At least you have something in front of you to look at, but it is very rough because, again, there's only so many hours in the day or weekend.
This is actually the resolution. that we did.
So there's an ordinance, and this is the new resolution that will not go to the last meeting that you would also do.
So do you have the ordinance that you worked on for the last meeting or not? Can you make I gather, do any of your members, do you have that with you?
No.
What, can you make a bunch of copies? Julie, can she use your office? Yeah. That's only one, right? Right.
That's
You hold on to that.
Do you have it?
I do, but I'll take it. Yeah, I'll take another copy just in case.
Yeah, I mean, I have the same thing circled, I didn't redo it.
Okay, then I don't need a copy.
But none of these people,
Okay, I'll just email it to Kat.
Okay. okay. So if you want then, if you want to start with the resolution or however you want to proceed for your agenda,
Okay.
okay?
The back page, there were a couple of errors that jumped out at me.
Okay, and this is on the ordinance, this is on the,
Just fine. You just pass that.
You just
that's fine, that's fine.
What line?
This will be line 46
Okay,
and 47.
okay,
We're gonna be paying our county board chair for this. It's an awful lot of money.
is that the
Wait a
number
minute,
that you
I'm-
agreed
no,
on?
Maybe not do this. Okay, I'm gonna be looking at something different. Hold on. Oh, okay. This was this on this. One.
The rules should mirror, and again, it's a rough draft, what essentially
Yes.
came through the
Okay, you
ordinance.
just
but
took
look at-
all the red out of it.
Yeah, I
Okay,
think
yeah,
so.
so it's good.
Well, just double,
Yeah.
I mean,
Is that what you're asking?
What's that?
You're saying we're paying him a lot of money? for
No,
our
I thought,
68?
I was looking at that it was just a committee chairperson who was bringing a salary. I was looking,
Oh, okay.
Supervisors.
my fault, guys. But yeah.
Okay, so we're not looking for a supervisor. We're good.
no.
Okay.
So you should put this into a report.
Right, so I think what you could just basically, yeah, and I mean, if you want, you can certainly attach this as a draft, but just say the task force for per diem committee met on various, hopefully you have all the dates that you folks have met. You got all of the information that you relied on to put this together, because I know you reached out to a number of different entities. And the committee recommends, and then you literally just go down, that a definition of authorized meeting, do you see under at line 19, that a definition of authorized meeting
Yeah.
be put in place? And then you can say an authorized, the committee believes, or your task force believes the committee, authorized meeting should mean, I mean, literally just
Oh, okay.
extract it. And then say, the task force also believes that, you know, all supervisors shall submit claims for compensation. I mean, you don't need to do a word for word, but just get the gist of it.
Oh, so we can't just give this to them and say, this is what we recommend,
Well,
and leave blank the respectfully submitted by the JPS.
I mean, you could do that if you
and put-
want. I mean, I think you should have a cover sheet to say, this is the task, this is what the task force has come up with in terms of ideas.
And then highlight the one thing that may change from what we have now.
Well,
In
no,
the
you
cover
see-
sheet.
I mean, if you want, you can include a copy of the existing rules and then of the proposed rules, but I think for procedure purposes, and I understand there's been a lot of work done while I was on vacation. I know Tori was doing a lot of work and my office was doing a lot of work. I think it would be best if you could just summarize this in paragraph form, and then if you want attached, this is a sample of what we suggest. Because again, your role is basically a task force making recommendations to JPS, who's responsible for rules. So they're the ones that can bring us forward. Unless, of course, any of the individual supervisors want to do that, but so that's what I would suggest.
Okay. What do you guys think?
Well, I understand that the premise of just the format would just need to change to a narrative story type of explaining,
Yeah.
teaching, and it's rather than a resolution.
That's exactly, and I mean, you might say, well, isn't it the same thing? Again, we look at the rules. You're not a committee, a commissioner, or board, you're a task force. And again, I think you don't have to put, you can just extract things if you want, attach it and say this was something that the task force thought might be a starting point for discussions for JPS.
I think that makes a lot of sense to me. I think for, for the sake of when this conversation comes up in 30 years and people are referencing the work that this task force did, that there is even a written down version of maybe the 2 minutes that any one of us might speak on the county board floor, making an argument for this. That is basically all we need to do. I like the idea of submitting whatever form this ends up, as from this group as a sample, so that JPS can see what this group gave its thumbs up to, and hopefully if they agree with the report and whatnot, not have to recreate the wheel or go do a whole bunch more work. But seems pretty reasonable to me.
Does that mean that JPS though can say, yeah, we like this draft form, we would like to approve it at that point?
Once it gets to JPS.
Right, it's like we don't have to wait another month, in other words. Like once,
I mean, that would depend how they write their agenda item, right? I mean, if their agenda item says receive report from the task force,
Right.
then no, they wouldn't take this and vote on it, but if
Right.
it says receive,
Report and draft resolution
then they could vote
to be
on it.
considered.
Report and draft resolution, because that's important to, because we don't want to delay this is what I'm trying to get at.
Now,
A
you
whole
realize,
Another month.
right, right. Mhm.
So
But this is going to take effect in 2024.
Right,
You realize that, okay?
Yes.
but I'm just trying to, because of, if they have issues or something, then we're gonna have to relook at it, and that will have another month delay.
Yeah, no,
So
I hear you.
I'm, in the back of my head, I'm thinking, let's think of worst case scenario. How do we get this forward as fast as we can so that we can make changes if needed?
Mhm.
That's my
But the
only.
other thing is you don't want to, thank you.
Thank you.
Get a work product out and then have questions, you know, you're rushing and there's things that maybe are oversights. And so,
Right,
I
but we are in a
totally-
rush.
Yeah.
That's the problem, and they knew it. When,
Mhm.
when we got this task force done, we knew we were in a somewhat of a
I
rush.
would suggest in your report, you say, you know, the task force consists of, and put all the names of the people, and the task force met on blank, 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 and blank, whatever the dates are. And again, whatever the information was that all of you brought to the table leading up to us meeting Corp Council, coming and looking at it. And then we met with Corp Council, and these are our suggestions, and just maybe even as a bullet, you know, bullet points. And then say attached is a draft that the Judiciary Committee may want to take up or something like that.
Okay.
Just something like that. But I think what we should do to start is, should we go through the ordinance? Because I know, Jim, you had some concerns. The draft ordinance, and then we can go through the draft resolution that again was put together pretty
What
good.
other concerns do they have?
Well, why don't we-
Mine were uncommon.
Well, why don't we just double check?
Yeah.
There's no harm in
Yeah.
double checking, right? So why don't you all have a copy of the ordinance, right? The draft ordinance. So it starts, organizational reform for the Winnebago County Board of Supervisors has been discussed a number of times over the years. And the Judiciary and Public Safety Committee has an opportunity to examine how it can better serve the people of Winnebago County in an efficient and effective manner. Fine. Whereas an ad hoc task force of the Winnebago County Board of Supervisors has investigated many types of compensation packages in surrounding counties over a population of 100,000. And again, that's where I know Supervisor Estera brought, I believe, a lot forward on that piece.
Okay.
Didn't you?
Probably, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, looking at the charts and
Yeah.
stuff.
That I thought so, okay.
Yeah.
And then, whereas it has reached out to 16 other counties, hopefully that's accurate, 16, I mean,
At least.
okay. Has reached out, so maybe do you want to say to at least, well, whatever you could.
Can I put the archive that we brought in for this, do we give that with this also? Like the backup?
I would give that as the report,
Yeah.
to attach it to the report, not to the, absolutely, I would.
Yeah, like reference figure, attachment
Right.
1.
That's exactly right.
See that.
They're gonna ask for that if we don't.
Might
Yeah.
as well.
You're absolutely right, yeah.
Just go ahead
Yeah.
and bombard them with all the stuff that we can give them.
Yeah. Well, because again, there's transparency. You
Right.
need to let the board see how you came up with these numbers.
Yep.
Just in
Or
case you're
anybody in
wondering.
30 years when they look back.
Yeah. Okay, so far, whereas the finding of this ad hoc task force is that Winnebago County would be best served with being paid a monthly salary. Everybody agrees with that line? That's on, okay. Whereas mileage reimbursement would remain as is. Okay? So now therefore, Winnebago County Board of Supervisors, we don't need of the County of Winnebago. Now therefore, the Winnebago County Board of Supervisors does ordain as follows. Section 1.12 is replaced in its entirety with the following language: authority. The section of this code is adopted under the authority granted under, and I think I know there were changes, right? 59.10.3F through I, right? And
Yeah.
59.13, okay. And then definitions. authorized meeting is used in this article. I think you should put authorized meeting shall mean, right? And then you have the convening of a standing select or special committee of the county board or subcommittee thereof for duly authorized purposes pursuant to 1981 and the rules of the county board where an agenda is published, quorum is present, and regular business is conducted. Special committee, okay? 2, the attendance by a supervisor of any school, at any school institute conference or meeting which the county board or the chairperson of the county board or the vice chairperson in the chairperson's absence directs him or her to attend. Well, wouldn't it be, would the county board direct a supervisor to attend a meeting? Isn't it typically the county board chair? Go ahead.
Well, we just had scholarships.
Okay,
And so if a senior in my district received a scholarship, in the past, I have attended the awards banquet or the awards gathering
okay,
at that school
okay,
in order to make the
Sure.
presentation.
sure.
So that's why I would be at a school meeting. I'm
Yeah,
not
so,
sure-
but,
Does
so,
that
but,
answer your question? I'm not.
no, but I'm saying the question is it the county board that is directing you to attend it or the chairperson of the county board? It's not the county board,
I can't imagine it, no.
right? I mean, the 36 supervisors aren't gonna say, Supervisor Powers, you can go to this this,
Well, that's true, yeah.
right? I'm just, is there any other situation, because I just want to try to be, so maybe we should say, the attendance by a supervisor at any school, institute, conference, or meeting, which the chairperson of the county board or the vice person directs him or her to attend, because I don't think the county board is directing any of you to attend a meeting.
No.
And do
if-
you think of that?
What about,
No,
what about like the 4th of July declaration of, reading, the county board set, and I don't know, the county board kind of sets that as a meeting for an author.
Right,
No, but it's not, is it?
No.
It's not, it's a,
but you'll have a quorum, you may have a quorum there, right?
that's why they put up, but it's not
Attendance
something
by a
that's
supervisor at a
mandatory
school
or it's
district's
not something
conference
that's
or meeting.
directed.
I don't think a meeting.
Wherein an agenda is published, quorum is present, and regular business is conducted. So I guess there probably isn't regular business at an event like
In
that.
regular business.
But would there be another situation like that where the board authorizes, creates a space that is agenda, noticed, agenda, and quorum?
Well, what if they're,
Mary
what,
Ann,
why, go ahead.
if the county board, for some reason, decided that some supervisor or supervisors should attend whatever, and we don't have that wording, all we have to do is have the county chairperson, the chair of the board, say, yes, we all agree, and so the county board chairperson, I'm directing you 2 supervisors to attend this. You don't need to have the wording in here, the whole
Yeah, I
board
agree.
did, because
That's
the chairman could speak for the whole board.
So why don't we take that out?
Okay.
For meeting,
I just
which,
had a question
and
on
take
that.
up the county board, yeah, go ahead.
No, just, and just, what Supervisor Power just said, is that she saw this person get a scholarship, was in her district, so she went. Nobody assigned her to go. She went on her own.
Right.
So now that after the fact, someone would have to okay her to doing that.
Yeah,
Because
Because
there
it
is
doesn't-
nobody real, and I'm sure this happens other times, that people just go to things thinking in the past, right? If they go
I
to
think the
these
first
meetings-
time I had a student who received a scholarship was probably my first or second year on the board. And I was just told, this is what we do with this. You go and you show up at the school, everything. So I didn't question it.
And I'm not questioning that. I'm
I
just
thought that was
saying-
just a standing thing that we did if we. And then the next time I had a student who received a scholarship, it was actually the same weekend that my sister died and I had to hand it off to somebody else to do. So I haven't been to another one since.
And report.
So that's a lot of times too, that Julie's office looks at this and has to decide if they've been authorized to go, or she has to go have someone check, right?
well, you probably
What would
call Tom Egan.
On this one, like something like that, you would check, right? But is there a lot of that happening? There's a lot of people go to
No.
things and have it approved before? No.
But I think we wanna, I mean, we wanna build a system that takes that discretion out, right? Like, we want it to be just follow the path that has been set out, not, well, that's the way it's always been, right?
That's right.
Right.
So something,
Yeah.
so I don't know, I mean, I don't know where that necessarily leaves us, but like, you know, in Supervisor Powers' example, I'm guessing that you were given communication by the county board chair.
Either that or Sue told me that I had a student who won. I can't remember how, it was so long ago, I can't remember. I was notified, I had a winning, I had a student in my district who'd been awarded a scholarship. And that it was the expectation, I thought, this has been a few years ago, I
Yeah.
can't remember.
No, that, I mean.
Expectation was that I would be at the awards,
And
at the awards ceremony, and when it was my turn, we have to present it.
I think what I kind of wanted to understand, I mean, I think that's a common kind of way that this stuff gets sent out, right? If you're on a committee, maybe you get an email that says, oh, there's a ribbon cutting, or there's a, special person who's coming down to the Human Services Building. If you want to come on down and meet the Secretary of Health or whatever, like, there's
The
and
congressperson for aviation.
yeah, so like, we want those, in my mind, those should be we should write the language so that those are authorized meetings. The way that we're commonly invited to attend these things that are meant to be part of the duties and responsibilities of supervisors. So as long as that fits the definition we have, I think I'm good.
That was the chairperson of our committee.
Right. So, the
Now what do we do with
chairperson of the
that?
committee / director of the department, so
Right.
maybe we need to.
Or chair, yeah.
So however, I mean, maybe that communication should have then been routed to the clerk's office or something like that. But I think our question is maybe if the clerk should also be in this list, because it's often the clerk who is notifying people of these events as at the delegation perhaps of a committee chairperson, a county board chair, or somebody else.
So what is the language you're suggesting? Perhaps on line 28 or 29? Is that what you're?
Yeah, that maybe the clerk should be added to the, chairperson of the board, vice chairperson, or clerk. I'm not, maybe not, I don't know.
But the clerk is not going to direct. It could say which the chairperson or vice chair directs him or her to attend vis-a-vis the county clerk. I don't know.
Or maybe it's implied, I guess, if like, if there's a meeting post, like, let's say this, like Supervisor Ellenberger and I are on the aviation committee. We were at a meeting and the chairperson and director let us know, oh, there's a congressperson coming. We need somebody from the committee to be there. So we think that should be a authorized, that should qualify for the mileage. If I went down or Betsy went down, that would qualify for the mileage as an authorized meeting. But in that situation, it was
Mayor Beth, it
The
wasn't Tom.
committee chairperson or the director of the department. You know what I'm saying? Like, so we're trying, and I'm not sure that that's a super common thing, but maybe a more common would be for the chairperson of a committee or the director to say there is a larger event that one in particular didn't need to be posted because only 1 or 2 people could be there, but if it was like the Secretary of Aviation is coming and we want anybody to come, then the clerk would notice that meeting, and that action that sends the email out to people is sort of the invitation, but that is being done at the direction of somebody else. I'm just trying to capture that
That can happen.
A to B to C is still one that we want to.
I think it is implied. So right now, any county board supervisors, if they submit mileage requests to the county clerk, the person who's approving them is the chairperson of county board, right? Tom Egan, is that? And that's with going to a conference or going to, let's say, a meeting you just indicated. So I think it's implied.
Okay.
And then another thing,
Yes.
I can speak,
Yes.
thank you. So the other thing is, say a supervisor notices a meeting that would be advantageous to go to, and then talks to the chairman. And he is directing, right?
Versus the supervisor just
He's-
saying, I'm gonna
he's-
go over here.
Yeah,
and
you check
here's
with
my
them.
bill.
Yeah,
Slash
you're checking, but yeah, you could see that, you could say that he is directing, because he says, yes, I would approve that, or no, we can't do that. So would that fall into, fill in the loose, there's a congressman coming, emailing Tom Egan, is that okay to be approved for reimbursement, or? And then therefore he's directing when he says yes? Or is that not, is that too
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
much
It's
maintenance?
almost too much of a formality.
Yeah.
To me, I mean, it's just like, okay, so we know that the person's coming, he's going to the ATC tower, so it's been brought to our attention as the aviation committee, because we've got the in-depth of what's been going on at the tower, right? That's why he was coming, and, so they obviously wanted someone on the aviation committee there, because we have a little bit more insight, because we're at the meetings all the time. But to have to say, okay, but before we can ask you to go, I'm gonna have to get this approved by Tom Egan. That just seems like,
Yeah, but it seems like we also kind of need to do that though too, don't we?
Aren't you looking at the power of the purse and
I
just
to
to
be
make
reimbursed.
sure that, well, I mean, if you don't get their blessing, then you risk not being reasbursed for
Mhm.
going to this meeting. But again, this is
I
what the
honestly
town-
didn't even realize
Could
I
be
was going to
just-
be putting in for that when we did. We didn't do it because it got pushed off, but I wasn't even planning, I just figured I'd go, but I didn't think about the power of the purse thing.
Well, you bring up some good, you all bring up some good
No.
points.
It could be as simple as the, NINA common council. They say, hey, we're gonna be discussing some problems here with County Road CB or something like that. Can you come down and talk to us about that?
Mhm.
As simple as that the town chairman is. come down.
Well, then what I would do would be, if this rule went into place, you'd make a call to the chairman of the county board and say, this has occurred.
Yeah.
Or send an email. Then you have an email string. But I don't know if that's too onerous. I don't.
I guess I'd be curious to know what, if any feedback on that, to gain that.
If you're not claiming per diems, get a monthly salary,
So-
is this kind of a moot point?
It's
might be.
mileage.
I heard
It's
it's
mileage.
mileage,
If we're doing salary,
Mileage
why
for
are
us
we?
is-
Because we say mileage
For him,
reimbursement
miles.
to remain
Oh,
as
yeah, this
is.
is only for miles, sorry.
We have
Right.
that on
Yeah.
line 17.
No, I mean, but when we
Yeah.
come down to the airport,
Yeah, yes, for that, yeah.
it's not just a few miles, it's 30 some miles for me total. So I mean, it is a big difference. I get what he's saying now. I didn't even think about per diem.
But Tori brings up a good point. I mean, we were not looking at mileage. We were just looking at the per diem.
Per
piece.
diem, yeah.
Oh,
So
then
maybe
that's a
this
new
is
point.
all.
Because if mileage remains as is, you can just submit that.
Right,
Yeah.
so then, yeah, that's a new point.
Okay.
Thank you. One here.
Yeah, mileage would be totally subjective then.
Kind of is.
Well, no, I think
It was
under the current code, you've got to get the approval of
Okay.
the county chair. We can look at it when we get to there. All right. So
Are you, I'm sorry, gonna leave number 2 in then?
we're going to leave 2 saying the attendance by a supervisor at any school, institute, conference, or meeting, which the chairperson of the county board or vice chairperson in the chairperson's absence directs him or her to attend. We'll leave
Do
that.
you need to include, I guess I question the school and the institute. And then would you include event? Be it the reading of the declaration or the ribbon cutting or the, Yeah, I'm,
Do supervisors submit reimbursement for going to the declaration of independence?
I've turned in mileage, but I've never asked for money. Even if I'm working the thing, if I'm running around, I'm passing out
Yeah,
flags and stuff, I've never asked for money for attending. I think I do ask for mileage.
So scratching a school and institute, but adding event? Is
I-
that,
by a supervisor at any event.
the school and institute include your conferences.
Yeah, WCA.
Well,
Is
but
it-
don't you have a conference? You'll have a conference.
yeah,
That's- I didn't know if you needed to include the school and the
I don't think you
institute.
need to. Now, I wonder if that was included.
Maybe
This
it's
was,
part of
because
the
it might have
statute.
been in the county, it might have been in the general code,
Oh,
under 1.12, which is, should be somewhere over here. Yeah.
Walk into a wall.
No, not yet. I'm getting close. Having perception.
There's 305.
Oh, wow, it's making me dizzy.
Everyone has a white tip cane.
Yeah, there you go. Still looks funny driving.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it says the attendance by a supervisor at any school, institute, conference, or meeting, which the county board or the
Yeah, but-
chairperson.
But just because it says that,
That's just where I got it. I copied and pasted.
I-
Why?
so that's, because we're looking at, so these are the, yeah. So I think Julie makes a very good point. I think you could say the attendance by a supervisor at any conference, meeting, or event,
Yes.
conference, meeting, or event, which the chairperson of the county board or the vice chairperson, the chairperson's app directs him or her to attend. How's that?
That's good.
And what we're gonna hope to do is, if we get through all of this, Tori's making the changes, and then we'll make copies so that everybody can see, and then we can go. Okay. So then it goes down to, so that's interesting. Yeah. Okay, so then we go to 4, but that should be 3, shouldn't it? Because you just finished 2. Okay, so that's fine. So the new 3, so line 37, claims for expenses for expense reimbursement not submitted to the office of the county clerk. Again, not county board, office, because you don't submit expenses to Tom Egan, you submit
No.
them to the clerk. Okay.
And she has questions and she sends it over. I'm
Okay.
assuming. I don't know.
So that, so line 37, claims for,
What did you read 37 from?
This right here.
Oh, from that, okay.
from the ordinance.
Okay.
Claims for expense reimbursement not submitted to the office of the county clerk before the first Monday of each month shall not be processed for payment in that month. I think that's great. That's right off.
Yeah.
Okay. Then line 39, that should be number 4. All supervisors shall submit claims for compensation and expenses pursuant to this article, subject to the approval of the county board chairperson or the vice chairperson of the chairperson. When available, claims for expense reimbursement shall be paid by the county, except those claims which are in excess of sums permitted. Well, we should say by, not this by the Winnebago County General Code. General Code or state law. No claim shall be made by any supervisor for expense reimbursement which the supervisor has not actually incurred or earned. So that's fine. Are you okay with that? Okay. All right. So then, so now we're on our line 46, which is number 5. Supervisors shall be eligible for expense reimbursement for attending the following. Okay. Authorized meetings of the County Board of Supervisors, authorized meetings of any committee of jurisdiction of the county board, in addition to any board, commission, task force, or consortium to which the supervisor has been duly appointed. Does that sound right? I'm just looking.
Let me ask you, I'm sorry.
No,
quick
that's fine.
question. We go back to line 17 where it says whereas mileage reimbursement would remain as is. Is there any other? Is there anything else then that these lines 46 through 54 are applying to?
So it's really interesting. When we have 1.12, which is basically the rule concerning, well, per diem mileage expense requirement, county board of supervisors. That's what's in the current code right now, all right? And I'm just trying to see where mileage is referenced here. There really isn't mileage per se referenced in 1.12, but in 3.05, which is attendance at meetings or schools, it talks about lodging and meals expenses.
Oh, okay.
And
Yep.
it talks about, so it says, under 3.05, the purpose of this ordinance is the establishment of an orderly procedure for the authorization of travel or attendance at meetings, conferences, or educational seminars. It said on behalf of Winnebago County. So you're on behalf of Winnebago County as a supervisor. They maybe should have said on behalf of Winnebago County employees. And what they talk about is in some of this, getting approval from the county executive. But you see, that's involving employees. That's not involving county board supervisors. So that's why this is pretty confusing. And that's one of the things we need to clean up with the general codification, but we're not here for that. But you're right, it's not only 1.2, it's 3.05.
Which we reference in our sheet.
I know that.
Yeah.
I know that.
Okay, I'm sorry to.
No,
Goes
no,
down
no,
that,
no,
but
but
that's
it's a
fine.
good point.
Good
It's a
point.
good point. Okay, so then we say supervisors shall be eligible for expense for attending the following.
Okay, we're at line one now.
Now we're on
46.
46, right?
Mhm.
Authorized meetings of the county board of supervisors, authorized meetings of any committee of jurisdiction of the county board, in addition to any board, commission, task force, and consortium to which the supervisor has been duly appointed. Now, where did you get that?
That's what we added last week, or last meeting.
Okay,
Do we use the word consortium?
We
That
have
was a heated
a railroad-
discussion last.
Oh, was
meeting.
it?
We have a railroad.
Where was I? I was
consortium.
going,
Oh, yeah.
sorry, scratch that.
we just had like a 3-hour meeting with our committee structure. And they were talking about, consolidation, but then they also talked about all of these various boards and commissions but a number of them don't even really have county board supervisors on them. But yet it's referenced in your little, in the little white book, the Bible, which is sort of interesting. So that's a whole other. So that task force has said, okay, our mission, we were tasked with just looking at the committee structure. We were not asked to look at all of these other boards and commissions that, even if they're listed in the rules book, have really no involvement with the Winnebago County Board of Supervisors. And to that point, that's what you folks are looking at, the per diems for county board supervisors. Okay, okay. Now this line, so we have 50. Any authorized meeting, as that term is defined within this article. And then a meeting with the county executive at the specific request of the county executive. Where does that come from?
Why is that there?
Where does that come from?
Leftover.
And I'm just looking.
That
So
doesn't
sure
make any
enough, where he has it, under 1.12, as the code exists now, it has an attendance at a conference. It says attendance at a,
Yeah, so the
So-
first meeting, we changed attendance at a conference to just a meeting because authorized meeting has already been defined.
yeah, but
Just
Well,
telling
why
you
would
where
county
we're getting.
executive-
why would that even be in there? I don't understand why that's here.
C and D seems like it should be gone.
Yeah, I'm thinking that too.
Unless the county executive appointed you.
That would be a commission.
Yeah.
Sort of like the ARPA task force.
Or a commission, like I
But
was
wouldn't
appointed
that
to the
be-
housing authority.
But wouldn't that be an authorized meeting? So do we even need to have a meeting with the count? I don't think you need to have that.
Yeah.
So get rid of C and D.
Take that out.
Or just
I
D.
mean, if you-
Do we need to
No,
say
you would
still?
have to take
Oh, I'm
out
sorry.
C also.
After his election, John Damel, I thought it was mandatory, had meetings with every single supervisor individually in his office to discuss sort of like, who he was, who are you, what are you interested in, here's what I'm interested in, I mean, it was a couple of hours that I spent with him in his office. So that was, and I thought it was mandatory. I thought everybody did that. Went to the meeting with the county executive at the specific request of the county, with the county executive at the specific request of the county executive.
But I wonder if that was just, is that the exception to? that
I
doesn't-
didn't have that.
I didn't have it either. so.
Okay, well, you came on after he was elected.
It still
Yes.
should stand the same.
That's his problem. But when he was newly elected, he brought in everybody who was currently on the board to just tell us who he was and who we were and what were we interested in, what was he interested in, what he hoped to accomplish, da, 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 da. If you got elected later and he didn't ask you, that's up to him.
Do you think that was a mandatory meeting?
It said it was.
Wouldn't,
We
wouldn't,
don't work for him.
So, well, I don't exactly remember how it was worded, but it was said, I thought it said mandatory.
but wouldn't that still go through line 28? Wouldn't that still have to be, just, why do we have to say anything about the county executive mandatory?
I don't
Wouldn't it just be satisfied with the chairman?
I think that should just, I think C and D should be gone because you can't have C and then not have anything underneath it.
Yeah.
Because it's saying to define.
No,
it.
I agree with, what is it?
So the C and D both have to go.
Sure.
Yeah, C, I agree.
Do we have to, we don't need to have anything on that.
Just a little bit more.
So what, but Karen, are you concerned with taking out D?
Well,
Because that's fine, I'm just saying.
this is why I attended a meeting
Yeah.
with the county executive that he said, that I'm pretty sure was told this was a mandatory meeting. He wanted to meet with every single supervisor one-on-one after he was elected. And I'm sure that my meeting was more than 2 hours.
But the current code right now says attendance at a conference, not at a meeting, with the county executive, at the specific request of the county
It
executive.
wasn't a conference, it was just two of us, it was a meeting, one-on-one, everybody did it.
You were on the board and you didn't do it. He didn't,
No.
he wasn't mandatory. I'm wondering.
When were you
Let me
elected?
have some chocolate.
That was the point.
Hit that button.
It feels like line 28
Huh?
could suffice.
You've been on the board. for a
Okay,
while.
Kobe, you were on this at that same time when he was elected. Were you summoned sort of like to an executive meeting with the county executive?
These are, those are all.
I can't even remember stuff we
I
talked
just can't,
about.
I can't, not in the way you're describing, I mean, I definitely met with the executive, but not in like a mandatory, but that's beside the point, I guess, I think,
Jim, pass it that one.
you know,
Back around.
Put it right
In my
in
mind,
those.
those-
Rub it in the.
It's Travis more important, that's why.
John,
No, go ahead.
No, I mean, I
Drop
think
down to 133.
if the executive is requesting a supervisor's presence at a meeting, whether it's a one-on-one
Yeah.
or,
Yeah,
you're on the railroad consortium, and the executive's meeting with a railroad company. Like, to me, those are things that would be governed by line 28,
Mhm.
attendance at the
Yeah.
essentially at the direction of the board chair, like, so Mary Beth Gabbard is the chair of the aviation committee. Let's say that the secretary of transportation is coming for a visit and the executive wants the chair of the committee to be there. Right, like that, I mean, that's another type of meeting with the executive. that a supervisor might be directed to attend or asked to attend. I just think that in those situations, or really any other meeting with the executive type situation, line 28 could govern that.
They will default to 28.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
agree.
28 never
Yeah.
does mention the executive.
Right.
I'm
because
pretty sure that I did not sign up for this meeting right away. I dilly-dallied, I thought, does he really mean it? And I mean, I got a couple of notices, set up an appointment with the county executive. That sounded to me like, I mean, if they pressure you more than once, or twice, or 3 times, that was pretty
But
much
I mean-
mandatory, get it done.
I'm assuming though that it probably wasn't absolutely mandatory, so I mean, I think that we can get rid of that. Would you agree? For future
How would you decide
references?
something was not actually meant,
Well, okay,
mandatory,
so
the
that's-
executive is asking
Is
3
this what you
times,
wanna-
schedule.
Are we, do you want to leave it in just because of something that happened back then that was unusual?
You hear that and say, Chairman Egan,
Yeah.
I'm being asked,
asking
would you
you,
put
you
that?
tell me.
So that would go back to
Yeah, really.
28, so I
That's
mean.
exactly right.
Okay.
In other words,
Really?
I
All
don't
right.
think we need C and D, even
All
though
right,
there
okay.
could be an example
I'm just giving you
out
an example
there.
of where the county executive would ask you to show up at a
Right,
meeting.
right, but,
It
But
happened.
typically, again, people are saying, should be staying in their lanes because you as the county board supervisors go to Tom Egan if there are questions regarding expenses or reimbursement. You are not going to John Damon for that,
Yeah.
right? So,
Right.
so let's get rid of C and D.
Yeah,
and move
okay.
forward.
All right.
okay, so then, after 5, so then
So that's
line
become 6.
55 becomes 6. Then you take out a monthly salary shall be paid and expenses shall be reimbursed to a supervisor while attending meetings described in
It'll
5.
be at 5, yeah.
And now, as follows, now make sure this looks right. Make sure the numbers look right to you. You think they're okay.
I'm gonna add monthly salary after committee chair. Because it's on all the rest of them for some reason.
Oh, well, oh, no, because that is per month.
Oh, yeah,
That's per month per committee, that's why it's different. Remember, yeah.
do now.
Now, I just want to make sure, okay. So that looks all right?
Mhm.
Now, let me talk about, under 1.12 currently. I want to make sure they don't talk anything about, because it talks about mileage expenses. I don't think. See, this is all under the current 1.12. Which is concerning supervisors. It says the county human resources department shall develop an expense reimbursement sheet. But that's not for you folks. It says it shall be used by all supervisors to submit claims for compensation and or expenses. Subject to the approval of the county board chair and vice chair, if chairperson is unavailable. Okay, so regular meetings, for Diems. Okay, so mileage, again, 1.12 references mileage, lodging, and meals as referenced in 3.05. So it's 3.05 that governs the mileage, lodging, and meals. Annual salary for the county board chair. Okay, so I think you're, okay, so we're fine. So let's go now to line 66, mileage, lodging, and meals. Should we say shall be reimbursed in accordance with or something? As opposed to, oh, well. Do you want to put, since you have well, you have monthly salary, right? The mileage, lodging, and meals, and then ... then you want to say C 3.05 of the Winnebago County General Code. Do you see how under the red, like county board supervisor's monthly salary, then you have ... 500? Why don't you do B, mileage, lodging, and meals, ... Now, section 3.05 of the Winnebago County General Code. Is that okay?
So just, do you want me to keep in accordance with section 3?
No, I thought you said take it out.
No, just say,
Neos section 305.
and these are just ideas, you
Of
guys.
the Winnebago County General.
Of the
And so
Winnebago-
it doesn't do the same thing, just how we have it?
Well, I'm just trying to have it, the format similar to
I
what
got
we
you.
have up there. Section 3.05 of the Winnebago County General Code.
Oh, I see, oh, yeah.
You'll see once she types,
Yeah,
once
I
she
see
gets
what
this.
you mean, I'm good with that, that's fine.
Okay, so then that's 6, and then we've, taken out 8, 9, because the 5,000 is out, now 10. But that 10 should be 7, so line 73. Non-supervisors who are duly appointed to serve on committees, boards, commissions, who are not acting within the scope of their employment or office, and so doing shall be eligible for a $50 payment for a half-day meeting, 4 hours or less, but not more than 75 per day, and expense reimbursements. Is that all right?
Okay, I'm sorry, I need to back up a little bit.
Yeah,
Okay, at the bottom of the first page,
what line?
line 39, we changed 5 to 4. So now it's number 4.
Yeah,
Okay, what is number 5? Is number 5, per
line
diem?
46,
Is
line
what?
46, line 46.
oh, that's
That's not 6, that's, line
That's-
46 is 5.
5. And so then line 55 is 6.
That's right.
Okay, that's where I got mixed up. Okay,
And then line 7,
is
or
it
line
73?
73 is 7.
Got it.
Whatever,
Okay.
yeah.
Got it now.
Yeah, so 76, all of those, 75, 70, 75, 78 looks good.
And then
That's it.
that's it.
Be it ordained.
Oh, be it further ordained by the Winnebago County Board of Supervisors that said amendments to the general code of Winnebago shall become effective for the county board, for the Winnebago County Board of Supervisors elected in 2024.
You say elected and re-elected, or you don't need to say
Well, you
re-elected?
can say that, yeah, that's a good, yeah. That's a very good,
What did she say? I'm sorry.
elected and re-elected.
You're real.
Who gave us this 252,000? Betsy?
That was
Betsy
me.
Kelly.
Did that work out? Did anybody else do the numbers?
No, you're the accountant. for-
It actually don't.
So then are we changing?
Just put in whatever number you want, Betsy, we'll never
Taking
figure it out.
the Ad-Hoc and just doing
So then-
fiduciary.
and
I'm
then as
sure
we
if
go on,
somebody
that's
has an
exactly
issue
right.
with it, they will bring it up in the meeting.
Yeah,
We're gonna take out respectfully submitted by the ad hoc task force on per diems, right? And
Yes,
the committee vote, so then we would just leave it as judiciary, but we're not gonna say respectfully submitted. They have to decide if they're gonna do this. And then that's the other. Okay, this is an ordinance, so an ordinance amendment is only a majority vote. If there's a rule change and it's not during,
Yeah, we changed that.
we
That's
change
one.
that.
We changed
One
that.
question.
yes.
I'm going back a little bit when you were talking about the non-citizens or supervisors. What about
Citizens.
people that go on trips or goes on to
75.
conferences or lodging, and what do you do about that? It's not mentioned there.
Non-supervisors.
Because there's some of them, do they go to the meetings or they go?
I think that was paid from the
Or they each go
Health
together?
services.
Okay, so it doesn't
How
come out
about
of us.
Larry?
Lautenschlager?
He goes to a lot of them.
Whatever his name is. Yeah, he was at the conference with us in DC.
When he was a supervisor or when he was not a
No.
supervisor? Well, how do you
he's
know
the,
that?
he's the chair of the Human Sources, the Human Resources Board.
Human Services.
Yes, Human Services Board. And so as the chairperson, he's still attending what?
Boy,
That's it. No, you're right.
Oh, okay. So as chairperson of the Human Services Board, he's still attending county activities, even nationwide county activities.
But I was told that health services paid for it.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's,
That's true. That's
That
what
is
it's
true.
not.
The clerk is saying this is true.
Yes.
I
So it
believe
doesn't
her.
affect us, right?
Well, he's one of the rare ones that he is a chairman, so he wouldn't get any of the supervisor money because he's not, right? But what he's still, right?
But
'Cause
he
he's
shouldn't,
not-
he wouldn't get any of our supervisors because it went through health services.
But he's the chairman of that. one of
It
these
doesn't
people.
matter, he's still not a
Okay.
supervisor.
oh, so then
Okay.
that came out of the human services budget.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then you folks had to approve the human services budget.
Right.
So maybe when they have a budget line item for conferences.
Yes,
Maybe that's where it comes out of.
right. And the clerk is nodding in the affirmative. I believe her.
That's something our office, between us and like the county exec, we're working on that, like the commission and boards would come out of that boards or that department's conference budget versus the county board budget.
If I'm the chair of the Parks Department and they want to, there's a big Parks Conference, instead of that being attributed to the county board, that would be under the county Parks Department.
Heck, no.
fruition of it.
That one would still come under county board because it's a standing committee.
Oh, okay, okay.
It's,
That
The
makes
housing
sense.
authority, for example, they have a lot of conferences.
Yeah.
If the housing authority would have to pay for it.
What I did.
That makes
I
sense.
underlined in red
Because I'm a
today's
supervisor?
changes.
because you're a county board supervisor to the
Okay.
city county board budget.
I see.
About the
It-
noise.
Oh.
It's
on-
it's
underlined.
more for
But
the
non-
I
Okay.
think so
Yeah.
confused
citizen
these crossing out in red. I don't know.
Tom Snyder is
That's
also
like
on,
grass.
like, and I think he
That's
is
what
maybe
Kathy
chair or
did,
something with the
I'm
NACO
pretty sure
committee,
With all this
with the
crossing
NACO
out in
Veterans
red.
Committee
But
too,
it's
so
still
he's
just a
got,
draft, but she was
as a
doing that while you
citizen,
were
he's
gone.
still
So
got
can I
some
just
like
take that out?
associations with those national conferences and stuff for
But I don't want you to
responsibilities
lose
there
anything by taking stuff
that
out.
presumably
Well, I can
trickle
save
back
it
to
and
his
print
role on
this,
our veterans.
But I was just gonna
services
take out the like cross strip.
Don't take anything, print what we just went through, because I don't want anything to get lost.
Yeah, I already saved that.
195, the 252, 900, that's course calculated. That is before the committee folks get done with their committees. Because there'll be less committees, there'll be a lot fewer committees. at that point, so
That's
this
true.
would be-
So
we might
that's
wanna
why
put Task force calculated before.
prior
Prior to committee consolidation.
to be approximate, or just say approximated with, yeah. Right, I can't, yeah, I just did it to the 13 standing committees. That number will go down.
Just so you know, because we were in a 3-hour committee meeting, and there was some reference to go from 70 to 44. What
I
was
heard that, and I, was that 70 people or
I
70?
think it was 70.
70
It's
people down to
70,
44 people.
Committee members
Committee.
to 44, and I don't know which sheet I wrote that. Here it is.
Go ahead.
There's currently 70 seats is what my. what I wrote.
Seats.
So there would be 70 people.
Chair, co-chair.
On all the different committees, on everything.
Wait, on all the different standing committees.
Yes.
We're not including ARP or any of that.
That would be what?
I thought that was everything. I thought that was all the.
There's no way.
Because 12 committees of, or
13.
or 14
not-
committees of 5 people would be 70.
You're correct. Okay.
He was not including solid waste. What was the other one?
Legislative.
Legislative. That was it.
Okay, so
Yeah, so he's got all committees.
So it went from if this goes.
Yeah,
it's from 70 to 44.
Seats.
Mhm.
So that
There's
every
people on
county board
multiple-
supervisor
Right.
would have at least one committee, and some supervisors might have 2.
yeah, exactly.
That's what
Right
they
now,
said.
some of them could have up to 6, right? Don't we have a couple that are on?
Well,
six?
with, I mean, I guess I don't really know what we're comparing here because like, yes, some people have 6, but that's including the, IDB,
IDB.
IDB and
Yeah.
all of
These
these
four times a
railroad consortium, all those ones that weren't being touched by that. So I-
So
That's
let's just
right.
put approximate. It all has to be done, right? Fiscal impact approximate with numbers that we were, I mean, I don't,
Yeah.
how do you want to put
Well, I
it?
think you should say about if the committees change.
Prior to
Because
committees
that's gonna be a big
changing,
number.
approximately prior to committees changing.
Yeah.
Consolidation.
Specify that.
Consolidation.
So normally though, we would do this based on the existing budgeted number.
Mhm.
And I know we're looking at it at that for a budget that hasn't been passed.
Yeah.
But we could just say, we could calculate, because we would know, minus a couple $75 there, we would know how much this plan would cost us. almost regardless of the
For
number
that
of
right now, that's
committees.
what
Yeah.
that money is there.
And so we
But
can
that's
just
me doing it,
compare,
so you might wanna just put,
but we
So
can
you
just
can
compare
say-
that to the existing budgeted amount. Right? I mean,
125, 130.
yeah,
We could
Yes.
add task force calculated prior to potential committee restructure. A task force
Yeah.
calculation prior to potential committee
There
restructure.
you go.
approximate, can you put approximate, because I don't want
Yeah.
somebody to come at me if I have.
It was
Approximate
$8.99.
Good
task
luck.
force calculation.
Somebody is.
$8.99.
Yeah.
That's
I
it.
can
It
tell who
was
it is.
before my patch.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
When we're looking at the number of committees, because this is not what we're doing, but when we're talking about,
Committees, commissions, and boards,
Huh?
committees, commissions, and boards.
Yeah. Are we only talking about ones that are being held, seats that are held, those places that are only seating, that's still not what I'm saying.
Standing, you're talking about only standing committees?
No, I'm talking about any of these scheduled meetings we have on our calendars. Are we only talking about meetings that involve supervisors? Because there are meetings on the calendars that have no supervisors on them. Like child death, I don't think there's any supervisors on the child death committee.
I think there is actually.
There is.
Isn't there?
I don't think so.
I thought Jacob was, no, he's doing Safe Streets, that's what I was
Safe
thinking.
Streets.
I mean, perhaps Chairman Ramos was on it on child death when he was chairman, but I don't think that we have any supervisors who are on child death, for instance. We're not even looking at, I mean, so those kind of things don't even get counted in all of this stuff, right?
Oh, that is what actually Supervisor Eisen brought up. And again, I brought all my notes upstairs this morning when he said, okay, we're looking at all of this, but there are a boatload of other commissions and boards, and shouldn't we look at all of it? And again, the committee said, well, we're really tasked with just looking at, supervisor-related committee structure, not non-supervisor
Yeah, that's what I'm, non-supervisor,
commissions or.
yes.
Okay, so this is what Tori just submitted, is what we just went through. So see if this looks right. I'm not gonna.
Well, except she didn't put down task force prior to committee.
Oh, 'cause she didn't
restructure.
say
She wasn't
that.
here.
I wasn't here.
She
for
wasn't
that.
there.
Oh,
So you need to say task
94?
force, approximate, line 94. Approximate task force calculation prior to potential committee restructure.
Prior to,
Committee restructure.
yeah, sorry, I'm just talking.
Okay.
You don't have to reprint this, though, I mean.
Do you
want to
we
put-
know that.
Do you
Yeah,
want
I
to put a reference at all to the budget of 130,000 now? So we know what the difference is or not? I don't care.
I'm sorry.
I was just saying, do you want to make a reference to the budget already is 130,000 for this? So when they look at it, well, it's not going up 262,000, it's only going up half, double. I don't know if you want to make a reference to that. No, that's a number themselves. Okay.
That's a good idea. No,
You think?
I think it's a good idea.
It's transparent.
I can just put like period, current budget,
Yeah.
Okay.
just keep it in the
I think that's a
parentheses.
good
and
Because
then
those that we looked at
It's
that. we know that
130,000.
Yeah, that's good.
I don't know.
125,
How much is
130.
I think it's 125, but I can
It's
confirm real
125
quick.
something.
And it has been like that for, I think
Decades.
that decades, a long time.
Yeah.
The report I got had everything all the same. It stayed pretty consistent the last couple of years, kind of.
So we currently have 125,000 budgeted for wages. We don't need the citizen per diem,
No,
right?
no.
Or other per diem.
What about the mileage? Do we have that?
Yeah, we have a budget for travel.
Yeah.
Automobile allowance is 26,000.
I'll stay
So
the
that's,
same.
that's 151,000, right?
Yeah, but-
125 plus 26?
So you said automobile what?
Automobile allowance,
Yeah, put that into the fiscal.
It's not into that
impact.
26,000, and then there's also a commercial
No, that's,
travel.
this is current, right?
Yes.
Yeah, but when I calculated, I only did standing committees and salaries.
So right now I have current budget is $125,000 for wages, comma, 26,000 for automobile allowance, comma, whatever you were about.
That, but we're not including in that one, that 252.
we're not.
Oh, okay.
Because it would be the same. In theory,
So just leave it at the
Yeah.
125.
yeah, just the 125.
The salaries don't change, salary per,
Is that,
salary and per diem is only.
Now that-
That's right.
Yeah, and because I didn't put
conferences
in,
would be the same.
and I didn't put in non-supervisory number in there either, so that's just a plain pure number.
And it's $125,000 even.
And that's just supervisor wages.
Yeah. Which is,
Wages is the
that's our
budget
charge.
Which don't we always go over? Isn't that why we have to do
Oh,
the
I was
approval of
very-
going over?
No, we
I'm just gonna put
approve
supervisor
individuals,
wages.
I'm sorry, for
Yeah.
individuals for
Yeah.
going over the state
Should you say
designated number, but we are typically under the 125.
The supervisor current wages? Do you
Well, I
want to
have
say- oh,
current budget
Oh,
is
good, good, good,
125
good, good.
for,
That's good.
I just put supervisor wages, so. it's
Yes.
crystal clear.
Wonder how long that has
I'm
been.
gonna rip this
That
up.
would
so I
be
don't
a
have
good-
this.
How long it's been at.
How long it's been at 125 would be a great reference to have at one point, just in the meeting at least saying 125 has been our budget for,
This is the
for
first year.
30 years.
This is the first year. It was 115 last year.
I do just want to say, the one that I just handed out, the underlined in red are the changes we made today. So if you're looking for something
Oh, okay.
specific, it's underlined. That was today's changes. Just so
That's
you
good.
can keep track of those changes.
And the red is what?
Everything that's been changed thus far, but
The
red underline is changed today.
Okay,
Perfect, thank you.
yeah, this is really good.
And you
Okay.
have it written down. I can't.
And then, I
Now?
can email this to everybody with the fiscal impact change. Email, I can email it to
Sure.
everybody if you guys want. I can figure it out, yeah.
These are good changes. It's a lot of good work done.
I think so.
Just a real quick thought.
Yeah.
Or at the break, line one,
Yes,
at XXX 06203.
Yeah.
That's something, that's set up an XXX, like a DR or a D.
oh, it's gonna be the number.
It'll
I
be
know
the,
I know it'll be the number, but
Oh,
these all look
draft.
the same. We've had, what, 3 copies today. They all
I see
look
what
the
you're
same,
saying.
So that we know we're all on the same page and D being draft.
you just go like this.
Oh.
Just go like-
One.
I would,
Well-
what I do is I just put today's date in the corner.
Okay.
Shut up, look at it.
Yeah, I mean, I can track
Yeah.
it. The way I do it is I
Do
put
you
the
want-
date
well,
that they
but-
were printed.
Do you want to put, I don't know how many drafts
Oh,
we
forget it
have.
now, I just for
Okay,
future.
okay,
Yeah.
okay, okay.
Just like this.
It's not
Yeah.
complicated.
That wasn't angry, that was strength.
And folder funny. I noticed, it's not the folder, put it back in a folder.
Can I just know one thing?
Yeah.
I
Yes.
know the chart that Julia was nice enough to make for in the past, because I was just comparing how it went. In, again, 2013, the budget was 139,000. 14 is 140,000. 15 was 135. 16 was 132. 17 was 139 again. And then 18, 140, 135, 132, 112, 15. Now they lowered the last 4 or 5 years because it never got that.
Mhm.
But it was always 130,
Oh,
140.
Interesting.
So that
But
is,
that was
That
the
would be nice
budgeted
if-
figure, but the
budgeted, yeah.
expenditures were always much lower.
Okay.
And they were much lower, so they
Last
lowered it
10
down
years.
for some reason.
Oh, that would be great as an
Yeah.
attachment to the report.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
That, that.
yeah.
And the only other
Where'd you
thing,
get that? from?
Julie was nice enough to make the, I got here, I could get a copy, get copies.
that's a great
But
artifact.
it was
to
kind of
throw
nice
on
because you
there.
get a comparison of what has been compared,
Yeah,
and it had what the actual. The other thing I was gonna just ask at this time, and I wish Steve was here, but if you remember back, oh, I think Supervisor Farley had said something about in the past, they got up $75 more they got. They raised it one time where they had a change in this. How much did that change the budget, I wonder, at that time?
Oh.
And that, I think he said, because he kept on referring that it should be done at budget time, we shouldn't be doing all this, remember that?
sure, yeah.
So I'm just wondering, at that 70, how much of an impact that made at that time for what all this was? But that didn't seem like much, I mean, at the time, but.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I can tell you a little, bit what I remember of it was, at some point prior the half-day and full-day amounts were 40 and 60.
It was
or-
44
Yeah.
and I think 60, but don't quote me on the 60.
Yeah, so
44 I know.
something a little less than it was now, and that changed, and then it changed to 50 and 75, and that was maybe 3-ish years ago.
Mhm.
And so you can see from the budgeted numbers, I think we upped the budgeted amount slightly, but it never came to fruition. You know, we weren't paying out
No.
substantially more, in that per diem. Which is why, as you alluded to, 2 years ago, the budgeted amount was reduced.
And there are supervisors that don't take.
Well, that was my next question, is that if the supervisor does not want to take a salary, can they not? I mean, I'm assuming they can still not take a salary, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, I forget where I read it now, but somewhere in the code,
But you don't have to.
I think it's in the general code, you're required to get paid by direct deposit. So if you don't
The salary.
sign up for direct deposit, you can't
For the
get paid.
supervisors, it's an automatic.
It's an automatic, right.
You know,
Is that it?
So how do you not get an automatic?
Well, if they give it to you, then say, I don't want it, there you go. Take it back.
You have to be paid by direct deposit
Yeah,
per the general code. So
yeah.
if you just don't set up direct deposit, there shouldn't be any mechanism to pay.
Then it
We
can
just
go to the
changed that
scholarship
resolution.
fund.
That's
The
what
direct
I like that.
Absolutely.
That might be in the rules.
Yeah, that's the
It's-
resolution, we just
Good.
worded that about the direct deposit.
Well, we haven't gotten to the resolution. We're gonna get to the resolution.
I was just referencing what's in like
Current.
currently in the general code. I think it's 3.05 of the general
Yes,
code
yes.
requires.
I just know we talked
Yeah.
about that this morning, which is
Okay.
why it was in my head, I'm like, we're changing that, so,
Oh, okay,
but what's in the current, yes.
okay.
Okay, so
So this is good now.
I think this.
Okay, I sent everybody the email with the ordinance, just so everybody knows,
You sent it to me too.
I did. Um,
No, we kept you in the dark.
The only
You have a good
difference is the
memory, you
fiscal
know,
impact on the
you know.
bottom, but I did email it to all of you.
So now, the resolution, that was rough, that you each were provided a copy of, so look at the top, resolution, should basically mirror the ordinance, but let's go through it, because
If you all want
again,
a copy of it.
Yeah.
and we're gonna have to address 5.52, which did not get addressed there, because it talks about the chair receiving 5,000 per year plus per diem, the vice chair receiving 1,500 a year, but we'll deal with that later. So let's look at the resolution.
Okay.
That's in there.
This one?
No, I don't think 5.5. This is talking about replacing 20.0 of the Winnebago County rules in its entirety. You know, what we could do is, well, anyway, let's just go line by line. So we've already gone through organizational reform has been discussed. An ad hoc task force of the supervisors is investigated. This ad hoc has reached out to 16 other counties. The finding of this ad hoc task force is that Winnebago County Board Supervisor would best served with being paid a monthly salary, whereas mileage would remain as is, right? Did we say as is or is the same? No, as is the last time, okay. So then, now therefore, be it resolved that it recommends replacing 20.0 of the Winnebago County rules in its entirety with the following language. And see, this is gonna get, and then I was gonna say, and substituting the current language of 5.5 with what is referenced here, because 5.5 says the chair. So that's gotta get taken care of, but maybe we should just focus on 20 and then do an add-on at the end. All right, let's do that, okay? All right, so let's look. With this now 20.1. Now, did we change anything when we were doing the ordinance about the definition of authorized meeting? Shall mean,
The school institute or event.
Yes.
In number 2,
So we should take out school institute, the attendance by supervisor at any, we had conference, meeting, or event, right?
Right.
So we should do that and take out school institute.
I'm sorry.
23. 24 or 23?
24.
And then,
So we're taking out county board and just have the chairperson.
And,
who's the yes, which the chairperson of the county board directs him or her to attend, that's correct. On line 23, so it will be the attendance by a supervisor at any conference, meeting, or event which the chairperson of the county board or the vice chairperson in the chairperson's absence directs him or her to attend, right? And then number 20.2, all supervisors shall submit claims for compensation and expenses. Should we say,
County clerk.
yeah, didn't we have
We
that?
changed that to clerk.
yes.
In the ordinance, we changed it to county clerk.
Maybe
yes.
that's what we should do. Take out that, why don't we put claims for expense reimburse?
That's what we're thinking. We're on 20.2, right?
Yeah, hold on a minute.
Oh, there's claims.
But I don't like the way that's worded.
Can I just copy and paste how we had it in the ordinance?
Why don't you just, yeah, claims for expense reimbursement not submitted to the office of the county clerk before the first Monday of each month shall not be processed for payment in that month. Do you want to, so you don't even need that. Yeah, take out,
Because we have,
yeah, we don't need, I don't like that line. And then should we keep no claim shall be made by any supervisor for expense reimbursement which the supervisor has not actually incurred?
Yes.
Keep that.
That's actually in the ordinance. Somewhere.
Actually, it should be in the ordinance if
It
it isn't.
is, I remember it being there, I thought it was. It's in there, because I remember.
Yes, you're right,
Yeah,
line
it's in there.
46,
Yeah,
you're right.
it's in 40,
Yeah, you're right.
44, 45.
So, or put it as,
this is what I have.
read it aloud so you can say.
Claims for expense
Mhm.
reimbursement not submitted to the office of the county board, well.
No, county clerk.
County clerk, I was getting there. Before the first Monday of each month shall not be processed for payment in that month. No claim shall be made by any supervisor or expense reimbursement, which the supervisor has not actually.
Yeah, I think that's good. So
So
you
you're doing
take
this,
out,
you're doing this in 20.2?
yeah, she's
Because it's
taking,
already in 20.4.
we're taking out lines 26, 27, 28, and a portion of 29.
35 is redundant, isn't it?
Yeah,
let's
20.4 can be deleted then.
Yes, that's right. Okay. Does it talk about, yes, the first one, that's exactly right, yeah. So we have 20.2, 20.3, each board member shall be responsible for compiling their own expense sheet for payment by the county of mileage and other expenses. So then line 36 becomes 20.4, right? Supervisors shall be eligible for expense for attending the following. And is this is identical to the ordinance, right?
Where did we get?
It's line 46 or whatever it was.
Yeah, no, my question is for Mary. Where did we
Could you
get
get it?
686?
We just have to
That's
get
from the
rid of C
ordinance, so I can just
again.
delete this, right?
We're gonna get rid of
There's
C.
nothing, it's 20.4, there's no 6.
And then we have to get rid of 40.
Yeah, here, so we have.
Oh, yeah, you don't
That's
need
from the
six.
ordinance, yeah, we don't need.
Line 40 needs to be gone to the resolution.
Yes, so line 37, authorized meetings of the County Board of Supervisors 38, authorized meetings of any committee of jurisdiction of the county board in addition to any board, commission, task force, or consortium to which the supervisor has been duly appointed. We take out, you're right, that's line 40.
And wait a minute, why would we take that out? Because wouldn't, since we keep saying authorized meetings, wouldn't you need something that says what authorized meetings mean?
We
Well,
did
we did
in
it.
20.1.
Go to line 20.
Line 20?
Yeah, and so we're getting rid of it because we got rid of it also with the ordinance. On the ordinance, we got rid of lines 50 through 53.
So then if we go to 41, wait a minute,
0.5.
Mhm.
because that's 20.5.
And then you just have to make it look line number 58 like you did on the other one.
And that's all right.
Wait, yeah,
Yeah, and then she said line 48, that's right.
However, for 20.5, it says a monthly salary shall be paid, blah, 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 described in 6 as follows. What do we?
No, then don't even say describe. Well, shall be paid and expenses shall be reimbursed to a supervisor while attending meetings
As follows.
as follows, while attending authorized meetings. Why don't you say authorized
Yes.
meetings
As follows.
as follows? Okay. So, and then line 49 is 20.6, right? Because we were 20.5.
And we're gonna make line 48 look like the one.
I did, I
Okay,
have
good.
that on here.
And then line 52 is going to be 20.7, reimbursement for general line, it shall be governed by section 1.2 of the Winnebago County General Code, yeah? Board members. Okay, now this was, where was that? That was submitting the reports,
That's in the county board rules
is it?
as well.
The submitting,
Not sure
the-
that's one we've been following.
some
No, I
people
don't
may
think
have
so.
done it like a verbal report.
Yeah.
I think it's a good idea, but what I think is irrelevant. I just have to tell you what's legal and what's not. So it's up to your task force to figure that out. Where is that? Kobe, you think
I
it's? in
didn't
the
know
rules?
that.
I do.
Yeah, I think it's in the rules section on payments and per
Yeah,
diems.
I'm looking.
I have not been turning every written reports I've attended.
You're right.
20.8 or something. like that.
20.7.
I've never done, I mean, I
And it
have
makes sense
stuff.
that you should.
Yeah, I have stuff, but I mean, what happens when you, like, Ralph and I saw the same seminar, it's like, all right, so we're gonna write a report on the exact same thing.
Well, why not?
Open book test. Open
You
book.
should.
And you
were
might
really
have
there.
different interpretations.
It could have gone to different
Or we could put
presentations, different
Presented
breakouts.
by Ralph Harrison, Supervisor Harrison, and Supervisor Ellenberger. Respectfully submitted.
But, you
I'll
know,
be looking forward to it.
they haven't done that. I mean, we went to the one, there was 6 or 7 people that, I heard one person. I didn't even know you're supposed to do that.
I didn't either, and I have lots of notes.
So that's
in my
what I said, there's a
personal
lot of
iPad,
things-
though, I could have
You
easily.
know, when
done.
when you're talking about pay and stuff, and it's a new supervisor, you find out that you can get some, you put yourself on the payroll now more because you didn't know you're supposed to, so you didn't do this, you did this. So things change once you finally know what you're supposed to be doing.
Well, do you want to open it up to written or verbal report?
Sure, written
I
or
don't know.
verbal, I like that.
Well, if it's already in our rules, can we do that just by this task force?
Oh, let's just keep it, if this is
I-
what it looks like in the rules, let's just keep it like that.
Yeah, maybe, I mean, I think it's
Yeah.
something we could note in the report that we submit to judiciary that this seems to be, while we're going through this process, this seems to be inconsistent with conventional practice, and we recommend that they figure it out.
That's what the committee structure group said too.
See?
Yeah.
Boy, I'm glad I'm not on the JTS. Well, he's on there, that's why I said that. Okay,
You are?
No.
Oh, I didn't think so, no.
Okay, okay, so we leave that as is, right? 20
Yes.
and 20 point, so line 54, it's 20.8, and then 56, 20.9. Oh, now this is what Tori was talking about, okay. Julie, I need your input on this. All board members shall be paid by an electronic funds transfer unless the board member provides a signed affidavit to the county clerk that he or she does not possess a bank account so as to allow such electronic payment. Is that even,
That's consistent though with the general code.
yeah, well, it's consistent with the rule, I can tell you that. I just saw that.
3.05.
Should we leave it, or is that something that you would like to have
I think
fixed?
It
that's,
is.
that's an HR
3.05, where?
decision, because
Cool.
if
Okay.
I'm just looking. Oh, yeah.
This is a question that only an old person would ask, so I'm asking it. But, I mean, I would have assumed that everybody has some kind of an account, but these people now who bank in the clouds and have these things, I mean, can you transfer things to the cloud if that's where oh, you can?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, see, I said it's an old person
Oh,
question, I
yeah.
don't know.
You got it.
it's the person that
Gotta find
doesn't have, basically doesn't have a bank account.
How could that be?
There are some people that live under the
Really?
radar.
I feel like you're living
Matches.
off the grid, you're not becoming a county supervisor.
You know what, I agree with you, but you never know.
That's pretty safe.
What do you got under your net?
Just my opinion.
But just tell me this, where do you live?
I don't, I
Because
use
then
a
your
bank
name's
account.
online,
Online,
you
you know, your picture usually.
But there is
is
something to do.
online. You have to
They won't
like,
have
you know,
Yeah,
put your name out there
I
to be
don't believe we have
elected
any
or
now.
now.
Not, yeah, okay.
Personal opinion.
It is, it's 20.8 in the rules to
Oh,
COVID.
I'm sorry, 20, yeah.
20.8, board members shall be paid by electronic funds transfers unless the board member provides a signed affidavit to the county clerk that he or she does not own or possess a bank account so as to allow such electronic payment. That's in the county board rules, right now, 20.8.
Okay, we'll leave that in there.
So you want to leave it?
Sure, can I ask this?
Everybody's gonna get W-2.
Actually, you know what, Tori,
You don't
I
need-
took out,
huh?
Yeah, I mean, everybody should get a
So they're
W-2.
gonna pay taxes on it.
does not.
Well, you pay
own
taxes on your
or
I know,
possess.
yeah, right, yeah.
Even
right.
though own a bank account, it says does not own or possess.
Yeah.
How do you own a bank account? Okay, own or
Maybe it was
possess.
written in 1926.
It
You
might
can't
be.
own, I mean, unless can you say if you're in a credit union?
I guess it's technically owning.
Yeah, so I guess
That's it.
maybe, okay, let's just.
I know we changed other things to person because of the gender neutral thing. Do you want to change he or she to fit that?
But we didn't change it
I know
anywhere
it's,
else.
in the ordinance, we had changed like chairman to chairperson
Okay,
because the recodification is trying to be gender neutral.
Mhm.
I just, do you want to
Is there
address that
another
now?
gender besides he or she?
I'm not getting into
Don't
that.
be down.
No, I mean.
I'm not going to
I'm not
that,
touching
but-
that
You'll
I
be
know,
on-
I mean, is there
on a
an
postcard.
alien? I mean, there's either, I mean, I don't care.
I just
which
didn't know
one
if
you
you said
identify
about like
as.
57.
I don't care which one someone identifies as, I'm just saying, there's nothing other than a he or a she, I mean, there's not like alien or
I see
a
they.
dog.
I was
I see
gonna, I was
they.
thinking they,
I see they.
or that the member doesn't.
I'm not sure about this, Betsy, but I think there are people who say they don't identify as either male or
Yeah.
female.
Do
Is
you wanna
that
do
what
they
Bob
or
was?
member?
Is that binary? Or is it non-binary?
Non-binary.
I don't, let's just do
Um,
person because.
But do you wanna just address that now or change, let that go to recodification? I don't care. I just,
Instead of doing he or she, so unless the board member provides a signed affidavit to the
Yeah.
county clerk that said board member does not
That's
possess.
good,
Yeah.
that's good.
Thank you. And we don't have to worry about
And then-
pronouns, binaries,
Right.
non-binary.
I just knew that they were addressing that in the recodification. We should just do that now.
Be it further resolved by the Winnebago County Board of Supervisors, forget of the county, that said amendments to the rules shall become effective for the Winnebago County Board Supervisors elected and re-elected in 2024. So, again, my recommendation is this, so I don't mix it up.
Do you want to have it elected in 2024 and beyond?
No.
It just becomes effective.
And then once it's effective in 26 and 28 and 20,
Unless they
until we
change it.
change it again.
No.
But what I would suggest is, given all the work that we just did today with the ordinance, with the resolution, that, and again, these are just draft ideas that you're not submitting, but I would just have a couple of you just take out some pieces and make it into a report, talk about, the task force, how many times they met, put all of the documentation together that you compiled when you were trying to get the salaries, like Supervisor Zestero put together. I think it's also fine if you want to say, and these are just ideas as a draft resolution or ordinance that the judiciary may want to consider. So they have all the material.
A nice little package.
That's right. That's right. But I would also suggest that when judiciary meets and addresses this, that you folks should be there, or some of you should.
Oh, yeah, I'll be there unless I'm not in the state.
July 10th.
I will be gone. I will not be.
Oh, no.
You just have to.
I'll be in Canada.
Yeah, you just.
I'll be here.
Well, even though, well, you're not gonna vote any, but you,
I could try to
Zoom.
do Zoom. I might be able to. I would be in a remote area of
Yeah, a
Canada.
lot of
Are
Canada.
you
might not
fishing or
get
hunting?
to.
Camping, or doing a camp.
I know when I was in Canada, I didn't get anything.
I don't know if I would
Yeah.
be. I don't.
are you gonna be
I'll
here?
be there.
Will you be there?
Yes.
Karen, will you be there?
I can be there.
For sure.
Judiciary, and what time? what
I
time
know.
is
We'll see,
What's
I
this?
was coming back from vacation that
Okay.
day and,
Well, you
What time is
could
it?
be a
6
Zoom.
o'clock or
Yeah.
something
It's
like
6
that?
PM.
yeah, no, you can catch me on Zoom coming down I-80.
It's 6 PM. You'll be home by 6
And that's over at the sheriff's.
From
the
Iowa?
sheriff's
Yes,
place.
it
Yes, on the
Really?
first floor.
6
Okay,
o'clock.
I'm
you said, right?
emailing everybody this
My old neck of the
resolution.
woods.
Okay.
Anything in red and or
So
crossed
that
out
means we need to
today.
meet before,
Well.
and we need to make
Yeah.
sure we have our ducks in a row, or you think we're
Everybody
good?
write something with-
Well, so who is, I would
How do we do
assume all
this?
of you are gonna work to put together a draft.
Can we? Can we work with that? Can we do that?
We'd have to
Can
have
we
a
send
meeting set
draft?
up to do it, correct?
Yeah, I mean, you would have, unless you try to put something together and then have a meeting and say, okay, this is the draft
Yeah.
that I want submitted to, I mean, the judiciary, when is
Can
the,
we ask
she
the,
just came out.
What's that?
When is the deadline for judiciary? It
30th?
just came out,
It should be the 30th.
because they're pushing it back by a week to the
Yeah.
10th. So is that the 30th? Is that?
30th is 2 weeks before, don't they like to have
There
their
you
stuff 2 weeks before?
Mhm.
So
You're-
the 30th would be,
Kathy just sent. an
actually, the
email.
26th, I'm sorry. I thought it was a Friday before, or 2 Fridays before. No, it should be the 26th, 2 weeks.
What did Kathy, she just sent an email.
Yeah.
She just sent an email about anybody who needs to
A
get.
week and a day, right?
Yeah, I
Oh,
can
it's a week
find
it is, the 30th.
Let me, I might have,
No, she,
Adults,
She
you know,
did.
and then we're just gonna do
Here it
maintenance
is.
and repair work on this.
so Cassie sent it out this morning.
right,
All four of us.
what's the deadline?
And the agenda will be mailed out on July 3rd.
She didn't say when the deadline is to get things in.
Isn't it
It
the,
used to be July 3rd, they changed it.
It's 2 weeks before, so what is,
but it's 2 weeks before I said 26th.
so I think that's probably,
Yeah, 26.
That's a
So you-
Monday,
Of July.
and what's today? Today is what?
12.
12,
Also,
So you've got
Monday.
essentially 2 weeks, right,
yes.
to do this?
Meet next week. 19th.
can we
And
designate less than a quorum of the task force to get a rough draft together, so we have a nice starting place?
Yeah.
I nominate the chair and vice chair.
Wait, tell me what you're telling me to do now.
I was just
Still not
suggesting that, suggesting that it's, some smaller version of the group get together to get the
Yes.
bones of a draft before we meet, or however, I'm not, or the whole thing, I don't care. But so that we're not coming into this room with 6, 7 people trying to build this from scratch.
I think that makes it
Yeah,
great.
we can get together and we'll have
Listen,
a basic and then bring it to you guys. So then we would get together on the 26th.
No,
No,
When
that's
it's due.
that's the
No.
19th,
Oh, that's, I'm sorry, the 19th.
that week, the week of the 19th. That's like,
At noon.
So if you two are gonna volunteer to take a first pass at it, I'll let you know. figure how much time
That
you
means you're
want,
gonna need time this
we need
week.
to get together, but
We're gonna meet on the
if you want,
19th.
I mean, you don't have,
No, we can do that. That's fine. We live really close.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna meet on the 19th, which is further down in the agenda.
We all are.
Okay.
Which
Okay.
is the 19th.
We all
So
are
can
19,
someone
or
else
you
be
are?
here, like Cassie?
Yes, all of us. Him and I are gonna get together ahead of time, but we
Oh,
have
yeah.
to, we have to have enough people here to vote to get this so that it gets to JPS.
And the time again?
I'm sorry,
Time?
same time.
Same time?
Are we okay with the 19th?
Down.
Julie?
I won't be here. That's the date I'm
No, we're-
moving for my conference at noon.
Oh, no, forget that.
I'm close to forgetting.
This should be a
because
very short meeting, because it's
It
just a
should,
matter
that's
of,
exactly right.
of reading.
Can we-
But you should also have the
voting on it, so,
material.
yeah.
You gotta make sure you have the material.
I've also have a long weekend. I wasn't gonna be here on Monday.
So if you wanna make it on or Wednesday
Sunday?
instead? Sorry, Wednesday.
19th.
I was gonna suggest though, I mean, if we have the material ahead of time and all the, basically all we're doing is saying is just good, thumbs up, thumbs down.
I don't think Wednesday will work for.
I would
me.
be able to get in on Zoom.
This is
And
bound to
if
go
we
late.
suspend the rules, I could be a voting member to help fill that quorum.
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
available
budget
for
later.
that aspect of it,
And then
but
the
I
legal files meeting.
may not be in town.
Yeah, I would be, this, before the last week of June, I'll be going to a remote area. But this next week I'll be in Virginia and I would be able to probably
It's not on your
participate on
calendar.
Zoom.
Oh, no, that
So
was
if we, if there was a motion to suspend the rules, I could vote, like you were saying. And participate over Zoom.
Does that have to be done first or ahead of time?
No, you
I've
can,
never done
can be done.
it At that meeting, start the meeting with suspending all rules.
But we
No,
have to
the
make,
remote, right
Remote
now, the rule, the intent of the board was to have everybody vote who was present in the room.
rules.
I have heard that other committees have sort of gone around it and said, well, there's an exception. And it's true, it is allowed in the rules that you can vote to suspend a rule. So if you vote to suspend the rule requiring remote or in-person voting, then that, now, the only other thing is not that it's not, are you undermining the intent of the board by doing that? But it does allow, the rule does allow it.
If we don't have a quorum though, I suppose we can't start the meeting, right?
I'm sorry,
If
what?
we don't have a quorum in the room,
You can't.
then we couldn't even take that up though. So it's kind of a,
I know I will be here,
I will be here.
1,
I'll
2,
be here.
3. What day are we talking about?
the
19th.
19th.
Noon?
Monday. 4, so you're fine.
I think I thought that was fine. 19th at noon, I can be here.
Four.
That's four,
That's
so we're
four.
good.
I got four.
And Steve Bender will just be a bonus. if he's
Yeah.
Steve
here.
Bender, a member, I can't even remember.
Yes.
the-
yes, these are separate. So 4 is
That's the quorum.
sufficient.
And I do have, I do have these, all of these numbers. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
would anybody like these?
Yeah, let's have.
Okay, I'll just hand everything over to you then. And you can,
Do you need them?
And was there
I
any
don't.
other supervisors that have had backup documentation when you were trying to, I know Supervisor Stairs. did you have backup doc-
I just got a text message from the last mayor of Nina. I mean, we want that too. No, but that's more for what they get paid. I mean, I
Yeah,
can give that to
we should
you.
have
Well,
that in
it's
there.
gonna pay,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay.
For it, and then-
Yeah.
I mean, literally, if anybody else, anybody else knows or talk to one and then your board.
and then I've got your 3, I turned in 9
Do you
townships.
need these? No, that's fine, but that's the per diem, for the lodging, the miles,
Oh, okay.
everything is in there. So, Julie was nice of the make for me, and the meals on the backside, the other ones, so on both sides.
This is another thing they can have. Okay, and then. And then this was Mr. Bender's, Supervisor Bender's, documentation from Allegheny County and York County.
I don't know if you want the town, population of each one.
Yeah.
So that's what they gave me before.
Whatever you've got.
Yeah, whatever you have.
We will make copies, stick it into the package and say, here you go. We have done a lot of work.
Here's the book.
Proven by all of our papers.
Here it is.
Lots of papers, lots of work.
Hopefully my iMac will be done by, my iPad, whatever,
If not, we're gonna get you a hat. and-
We also have this.
And a prayer.
Oh, what's that?
This would be, this
Yeah.
was.
Yeah, I have that.
You already have it. It was everybody's salary.
Yeah.
You have a copy.
And everything, so I don't,
Okay,
do you have a scanner? Because
Yeah, no.
JPS does not do,
yeah.
you guys do everything by email, correct?
I'm not on, he's not.
I
You
think
assumed he was, he
JPS.
was.
Why am I thinking you
You
were
just kinda-
JPS?
I know, because he has a beard and Brian definitely.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's, it really throws
Oh,
people.
that's hard to
It's just-
say.
I
That's
have-
good.
Yeah, I can barely tell who's who. Does JPS, do they do a packet or do they do all email?
No, they do a packet.
Oh, they do?
Well, wait a minute, I should.
Yeah.
Can't-
'Cause he
do they
talked
do
about a packet.
JPS does a packet. Yeah.
Wow, they still do that.
Okay, where are we? We cover everything?
Chickens.
The only thing we did cover was for, or did we? For non,
Well, that would be non,
non-supervisors?
oh,
We did actually.
yeah, and the
Okay.
Zoom meetings doesn't matter
Yeah,
because
okay.
it'll be a salary, that's the case.
You have it under, in the resolution, I'm sorry, in the ordinance, you have it in line 75.
So now we just need, we did the next meeting date,
19.
so we can,
19, everybody still on 19?
Next week.
But when you back that up, I'm sorry, when you back up, when you talk about Zoom meetings, what was, that was if you don't go to the meeting? You get paid or don't pay, is that what you're?
well, for future references, doesn't matter,
Yeah, it doesn't
Okay,
matter.
doesn't matter.
because our salary would be salary.
So you can be home or not, doesn't matter.
Pay wise anyway. I'd like to move to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Okay.
Everybody.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? See you